Why are all the cards blocked? My mother-in-law and I stood there, utterly mortified, staring at the cashier as her polite smile began to falter. Every single card, debit, credit, joint accounts, my personal savings, even my emergency credit card, all declined. Not just one, not two, but every single piece of plastic in my wall. It was rejected. My mother-in-law, a woman who rarely lost her composure, looked at me with wide, panicked eyes, clutching her purse as if it held the answers to the universe. We had just finished a lovely, albeit expensive, lunch to celebrate her birthday, and now we couldn't pay the bill. The restaurant was bustling, and I could feel the eyes of other diners on us, their conversations dipping to hushed whispers. The pit in my stomach wasn't just about the embarrassment. It was a deep, gnawing fear. This wasn't just a glitch. This was a catastrophe. Was I wrong to assume that my husband, the man I trusted with everything, would never intentionally sabotage me like this? Or was this a deliberate act of cruelty, a calculated move to utterly humiliate and control me? Tell me truly, what would you have done in that terrifying moment? Let me take you back to the beginning, to a time when I thought my life was perfectly normal, even happy. My name is Sarah, and I've been married to David for 7 blissful years, or so I thought. We met in college, fell in love quickly, and built a life that, from the outside, looked picture perfect. He was charming, ambitious, and incredibly persuasive. I worked as a graphic designer, and while I loved my job, David always handled the finances. He was better with numbers. He'd always say, and I, trusting him implicitly, never questioned it. We had a joint checking account, a joint savings account, and several credit cards, some in my name, some in his, but all linked. I had my own personal debit card for my smaller expenses, but honestly, most of our financial decisions went through David. He paid the bills, managed investments, and always assured me we were doing well. He had this way of making me feel secure, protected even from the scary world of finances. His mother, Eleanor, was a sweet woman, a little overbearing at times, but generally kind. We had our differences, as all in-laws do, but we mostly got along. This lunch was supposed to be a special treat for her 65th birthday. We went to her favorite Italian restaurant, a place known for its exquisite pasta and even more exquisite prices. We laughed, we shared stories, and for a few hours, everything felt right with the world. I remember ordering a second glass of wine, feeling a warmth spread through me, completely oblivious to the impending disaster. We had just finished our tiramisu, and the waiter brought over the bill, a thick leather folder that felt heavy in my hands. I confidently pulled out my debit card, the one linked to our joint checking account. I swiped it, declined. I frowned, thinking it was a faulty machine. I tried another one of the joint credit cards, declined. My heart started to pound. This was unusual. I had checked our bank balance just a few days ago, and there was plenty of money. I tried my personal credit card, the one I used for online shopping and personal treats, declined. My hands started to tremble. I pulled out my emergency credit card, a card I rarely used, reserved only for true emergencies, declined. Every single card. The cashier, who had initially been patient, now looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said, her voice softer now. "It seems all your cards are being declined. Do you have another form of payment?" Eleanor, sensing my rising panic, reached into her purse. "Don't worry, dear, I have my card." She pulled out her own credit card, a shiny platinum one. "I'll just pay for it." She handed it over, a reassuring smile on her face. The cashier swiped it, declined. The blood drained from my face. This was impossible. Elinor was wealthy, retired from a high-flying corporate job, and always had more than enough money. Her face, usually serene, now mirrored my horror. "What is going on?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The cashier called her manager, a stern-looking man who approached our table with a tablet in hand. He tried the cards again. Each one met with the same cold, digital rejection. He even suggested we try calling our banks, which, of course, we did. On hold, for what felt like an eternity, with the entire restaurant silently judging us. We were eventually told by the bank representative that all our accounts, both mine and Elinor's, had been completely frozen due to suspicious activity. This was a lie, of course, a cover-up for something far more sinister, a truth I was about to uncover. We were eventually allowed to leave after leaving my driver's license as collateral and promising to return with cash within the hour. The walk to the car was agonizing, each step a testament to our profound humiliation. In the car, Elinor was furious, a fiery anger I had rarely seen from her. "Sarah," she said, her voice tight with suppressed rage, "this isn't just about the restaurant. My accounts are massive. They can't just be frozen for no reason. Someone did this. Someone intentionally did this." A cold dread settled in my chest. Who would do something like this? Who had access to both our financial information? The answer, when it finally hit me, felt like a punch to the gut. David. It had to be David. I remember the drive home in a blur of shock and confusion. Elinor was remarkably calm by the time we reached her house, a quiet resolve etched on her face. "Sarah," she said, her voice firm, "we need to call David, now." I did, my fingers fumbling with the phone. He answered, his voice cheerful, oblivious to the storm brewing. "Hey, babe, how was lunch with Mom?" I couldn't even manage a coherent sentence. Elinor took the phone from my trembling hand. Her tone was icy, devoid of any warmth. "David, what have you done? Why are all our cards blocked? Why are my accounts frozen?" There was a long silence on the other end, a silence that spoke volumes. Then, David's voice, no longer cheerful, but laced with a strange defensiveness. "Mom, Sarah, it's complicated. I can explain. I had to do it. Had to do it." The words echoed in my mind, a chilling premonition of what was to come. Elinor cut him off, her voice rising. "Explain yourself, David. Explain why your wife and I were just humiliated in front of an entire restaurant." David stammered, tried to deflect, but Elinor wouldn't let him. She demanded he come over immediately. He arrived 20 minutes later, looking like a deer in headlights, his usual confident demeanor completely shattered. He tried to hug me, but I flinched away, a knot of revulsion tightening in my stomach. Elinor ushered him into the living room, her expression grim. "Start talking, David," she commanded, "and don't leave out a single detail." So that's the situation I was in, standing there with my mother-in-law, looking at the man I married, who had just somehow managed to block every single one of our bank accounts, causing us immense public humiliation. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have instantly demanded a divorce? Would you have tried to understand his side of the story? What would your first move have been? David finally confessed, his voice barely a whisper, his eyes darting between Elinor and me, unable to meet our gaze. He had been secretly gambling, not just a little, but thousands upon thousands of dollars. He had drained our joint accounts, maxed out our credit cards, and even taken out loans in both our names without my knowledge. He had been desperately trying to win back what he had lost, convinced he was just one big win away from fixing everything. When he realized he was about to lose everything, he panicked. In a desperate, misguided attempt to protect us from himself, and perhaps also to prevent me from discovering the extent of his ruinous habit. He had contacted all our banks and reported suspicious activity on all our accounts, including Eleanor's, providing enough fabricated details to get them all frozen. He thought it would buy him time, give him a chance to figure out how to fix it, before we found out. He claimed he loved me, that he was so sorry, that he just got carried away. He pleaded for forgiveness, for another chance, for us to somehow work through this. Eleanor was speechless, her face a mask of disbelief and betrayal. She had always doted on David, always seen him as her perfect son. To hear him admit to such a colossal act of deception and financial recklessness shattered her. I felt numb, a cold, empty ache spreading through my chest. The man I loved, the man I trusted, had not only gambled away our future, but had actively sabotaged me, humiliating me in front of strangers and putting both our financial security at extreme risk. The suspicious activity was his own doing, a desperate lie to cover an even bigger lie. My entire perception of our marriage, our life together, crumbled in that moment. I looked at him, not with anger, but with a profound sense of loss. The man I thought I knew was a stranger, a deceitful, desperate gambler. He had not just blocked our cards, he had blocked our future. The aftermath was a whirlwind of legal consultations, bank visits, and emotionally draining conversations. It took weeks, a maddening, frustrating ordeal, to unfreeze our accounts and to unravel the tangled web of debt David had created. Eleanor, devastated by her son's actions, initially wanted to disown him. She eventually softened, but the trust was irrevocably broken. As for me, there was no going back. The betrayal was too deep, the deception too profound. The public humiliation at the restaurant, while painful, was just a symptom of a much larger, more devastating problem. I realized that for years I had been living a lie, oblivious to the precarious financial situation David had meticulously hidden from me. I filed for divorce. It was a painful, messy process, but I knew it was the right decision for my future, for my sanity. I learned valuable, albeit agonizing, lessons about financial independence and the importance of being fully aware of my own finances, no matter how much I trusted my partner. I also learned that trust, once shattered, is almost impossible to fully repair. Life since then has been a journey of rebuilding. My divorce from David was finalized 6 months after that fateful lunch. He eventually sought help for his gambling addiction, something I hope genuinely helps him, but it was too late for us. Eleanor and I, surprisingly, grew closer through the ordeal. We became allies in navigating the financial mess and supporting each other emotionally. We still have lunch, though now I always make sure to carry cash, and we both check our bank balances religiously. That day in the restaurant, the day all the cards were blocked, was the day my eyes were opened to the true nature of my marriage. It was a humiliating, terrifying experience, but it was also a catalyst for change, a harsh lesson that ultimately led me to a more authentic and secure life. So, that's my story, a tale of betrayal, humiliation, and ultimately, liberation. Like this video if you were on my side, if you think I made the right decision. Subscribe for more stories like this, where everyday lives take unexpected, dramatic turns. Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.